Oh shoot. So hey y'all, so I just finished doing some adulting. Sorry for sitting here. Let me get up, matter of fact, and get my stool. So before I leave out the house to go pick up my grocery order, I had to do some adulting that we need to tap in here on, okay? It is open enrollment time for my benefits at my job or whatever. And, you know, I'm still on leave from like recovering from my hysterectomy surgery. My friend already gave me the expectations that my benefits were going to be increasing. Basically, anybody that makes a certain amount, you can expect your benefits to actually go up too. However, in doing my benefits, like there are certain questionnaires that they ask all the time. I'm glad that they show you what you paid currently and what your new rate would be. Because of my new salary, some of the things that I had added on for my benefits, like for example, I had childcare plus, and that is something that when you have your kids in childcare or whatever, you can get reimbursement up to $275 a month for formal childcare facilities. So like if you take your kids to like a daycare or whatever, like you're able to submit that for reimbursement. This year I'm not eligible for it. However, I can still do, what is it called? What is it called? I can still do childcare plus, which is an amount that I have subtracted from my paycheck every pay, up to a certain amount, whatever amount I establish, which is I usually do the childcare plus the reimbursement from my job, but now I'm only able to do what I put out to get reimbursement for, which is still cool, just to have that set aside into like a little bucket to plan. As y'all know, if y'all have been here for a while, y'all know that my oldest two daughters go to Delaware. Well, they have been going to Delaware every summer since we've been here in Georgia. And then my youngest, she stays here in Georgia with me. Because I'm still working in the summer, last year and the year before, I did send her to daycare summer camp this year because she's 5 now, so the terms and all that has changed. So I still want to make sure that she has some sort of summer with me still having to work. So I went ahead and added that on there still so that I have that to like budget and plan for. I am noticing that my benefits have actually, mind y'all, I said that I was expecting for the amount that I paid in benefits to go up because now I'm no longer eligible for certain things. And I don't know why this was just put on my heart. I'm not on any type of assistance. I'm a solo mom. I have physical help and support from my daughter's dad or whatever. But don't be afraid to elevate. Like, I don't ever want to sound ungrateful. Like, in fact, I'm going to talk to you all about that. Like, look at you guys. Look at you. So while we're speaking of this and adulting, I just want to give you all like a testimony of my life or whatever. When I moved here from Delaware, I had like the most savings I've ever had. Like I had sold my house. I wasn't living off of that. I was getting a steady paycheck, so forth and so on. However, I got my manager's permission to like relocate because this is around the time that we were still on pandemic. So it's 2 things that I want to point out in this video. You have not because you ask not. That's number 1. Okay, because all I did was ask my manager, you know, am I able to relocate? And she was like, yeah. She was like, you know, but once the pandemic ends, that particular location is not available in Georgia, or that particular department is not available in Georgia. So you may have to search for another department or go outside of our company to even find a job. Now, I'm a proactive person, so I don't like being put in situations to where I have to be reactive. I don't watch the news, so I got acclimated. I got situated with working from home and everything. And then I want to say 6 months into me being here, I started looking for different jobs. To be honest with y'all know I'm going to be 100% transparent. I would have never left the department that I was in had I not been made to. You get what I'm saying? Had I not been made to leave my department, I would have never left. I was top performer. I was comfortable in that space, in that realm. It was like easy. I could work all the overtime I wanted, so forth and so on. But once I got here, I'm like, you notice this is not going to remain your forever. You know, God always tells us there's going to be trials and tribulations. So I started looking for jobs and stuff like that. Hold on, this is my daughter's school. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, y'all, I had to jump on that call real quick. This might as well be like a little sit down video or whatever. Now my mom calling. Hold on, y'all. All right, y'all, so I'm sorry about that. So I started applying for jobs, and y'all, at that time, I think I was with my company for like 14 years, if I'm not mistaken. But I was finding things that I had to say so whether or not it was something that I wanted to do. So like if the hours were not aligning with me being available for my kids, it was a no. I ended up going for a job that was like a lateral move. Like I have like an investigation background or whatever. So when I seen that, but it was on a different side of what I'm normally doing, I went ahead and posted for it because I was like, you know, this is just temporary. I don't know what the future is going to hold. When I tell y'all I was in training for that particular role, which is not common at all. I've actually had to do training for different lines of businesses that I was in. And we had training from August all the way up until November or whatever. Didn't even know that our training was going to be ending in November. We were just told like on the final day of training that we had to start taking calls. When I tell y'all the whole entire couple of months that we were in training, there was never any talk about being on the phones. And phones is like entry level. I'm never going to sit up there and portray like I'm above something or I'm too good for something. But when you built up your portfolio and you've gotten beyond that, it's just like, why wasn't this a part of the job description? Why didn't you tell us? And I was the only internal person that was going into this role. It was 2 other people. They was like, oh, I would have stayed where I was at had I known that I was doing X, Y, and Z. But needless to say, every month I was learning something that I was not told in that role. And just coming from being a top performer, you know, having a good rapport with my managers, like I'm the type of person I didn't want to take off. So like if I had an appointment or my kids needed to be picked up, I would be able to sit up there and say to my manager, hey, I gotta go get my daughter. I'll log back on, or I'll make this up on this day. This particular manager was like, nah, we don't do all that over here. And I'm like, it was like, I work for the same company. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is all, the culture and the lifestyle that I had working there was something that I always had. I remained calm because this is when I was on my, you know, getting a better relationship with God and stuff like that. But I started posting. Like I asked her, I was like, you know, normally you're not allowed to post out of a department until you have been there for 12 months. So, you know, I was like asking, I got her permission. I don't think that she thought that I was blessed and highly favored. I don't think she thought that, okay? I don't think she knew that I was one of his favorites, okay? Because I had reached out, and I was, at this time, y'all, I would rather leave with a good name than to not be performing and meeting things the way that I once had. Like, I'm a top performer. I'm an overachiever. Y'all already know I got 3 degrees and everything. Like I was a first college graduate of my family and everything. So that means a lot to me. Like leaving on good terms, especially when you spent so much time at a place. But it wasn't to the point to where like I wasn't afraid to leave. Like I was even applying for outside jobs. So I say that to say, you have not because you asked not. I ended up getting in contact with somebody that I had worked with, had trained their siblings, so forth and so on. And I was like, do you know of anything? Like, do you have any work? Now, mind you, these are connections that I made back in Delaware. That's why I be trying to instill into my kids, your character is going to say a lot about you. If this is not your norm, what that character like? What kind of fruit have you been producing? You get what I'm saying? So I didn't hear from him. So I'm like, still remaining. I'm like, God, what are you trying to show me in this time? And all this time, I brought up my savings because I was coming from a world where I was doing so much overtime that once I started getting regular pay, because I'm like, I'm not going to work more when I already don't understand this job and function and risk the fact of, you know, making a mistake or whatever. So I was just numb. I was just doing my regular 8 hours miserable like the whole time or whatever. But I remained faithful. I prayed and, you know, seek God's wisdoms and stuff. And for some reason I kept hearing, you've been able to do more with less. Like, you've been able to do more with less. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. So I ended up getting an interview with somebody that reported to the person that I reached out to. Ended up saying that now we got a hiring freeze. So now I'm like in the door, but I can't walk through the door because we got a hiring freeze. Like, make it make sense. So I'm like, I ain't gonna make it again. I'm not gonna make it another month. When I tell y'all, because I was not getting the flexibility to be able to take off, like I was having to use like 1 or 2 days, like those were the only things that I took off for. Mind you, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm away from like my best friends and stuff like that. So if I had to take off, it was literally for an appointment for myself or for my kids. So I had so much time that I was able to take the last 2 months of the year off, okay? And I was just like, I don't want to be subjected to getting on some type of corrective action because I'm not meeting my numbers. You want me to be doing this and on top of taking food, like phone calls. Honey, my multitasking, my brain can't take all that. So I ended up getting in and I got a substantial raise at that time or whatever. Like, now I'm not even able to do overtime. Like, now I'm in salary. So I was like, oh God, like, how am I going to do like, how am I deserving of this? Like, you know, and last year, so not 2024, but 2023, my church was doing a tithing challenge or whatever. And I heard about tithing and stuff like that. However, as somebody that was not raised in the church, I always just would go off of what other people were around me. That's why you gotta get in the word. You gotta get to know it for yourself. But there's a scripture in there, Malachi, where he talks about, let me make sure I completed my enrollment. Hold on while I continue. And that's like one of the scriptures in the Bible where God tells us to test me. See if I'm lying about this. And when you think about it, like the amount that I was paid, like I started doing my budget during this 90-day tithing challenge to where I would write out my income, like what I was bringing home from my paycheck. The very next thing under that for deductions was my tithings. I got paid and then I was paying God, like in that order on my Mama D. In that order. That's how that was going. So by this time, just to rewind a little bit back, I just was saying to myself, God, I just want to be able to comfortably be able to take care and support my kids. That was like the only thing. Health-wise, I didn't even specify whether I was pertaining to finances, health, or anything like that. So God already knows the desires of your heart. We've never missed a meal. We have had a roof over our heads. Things got tight, like tight as the naps on the back of my neck, okay? Things got tight, but we've never, you know, missed it. He's always come through. And it's like, show God your faith and he'll show you his faithfulness or whatever. So, not too long ago, I got another call, and I was informed that I got another raise or whatever. Mind you, I'm on leave right now. I'm recovering from my surgery. So I say all that to say, to encourage anybody. If you are struggling with your finances, what tithing for me has done is help me stick to a budget. I know off the rip that is something that I'm going to forever. I don't care how much I make. God is going to get his 10%. And, you know, a lot of people like, because this was also my mindset. Oh, well, how do we know what is being used? You ain't supposed to know. So if I'm giving my 10% to the church that I go to, now I know that my church does a lot with kingdom builders. Like, you know, I see like they do a lot of things for the community, so forth and so on. But when you're working on that relationship with God, it don't even matter. That is something, store up 10%, you know. And I'm like, when you think about, okay, let me use this plant as an example, because this is what it took for me. We can right have some illustration, and then I'm gonna go get my stuff, okay? So look at this as being 100% of your paycheck, right? 100%. All God wants is 10%. Look how much. So we're gonna give God this, because this is his 10%. And you left with all this. You left with all this. You left with all this. Now, and let me just tell you, my heart always remained pure. So when I say that, I didn't know how that worked. I knew it was of what you made. So I broke mine up, and I don't know if I'm doing it right, but honey, he's blessing. he's making a way still. But like, say for instance, if you make $60,000 a year, 10% of that is like, okay, if we're looking at the overall salary and you're making $60,000 or whatever, each month my goal would have been to pay hold on, how did I do mine? I'm trying to be, y'all know I'm transparent when it comes to everything, but some things you just ain't supposed to discuss as far as like your finances and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just say like 60,000. Okay, so being as though I'm on salary now, if I was making 60,000 a year, what I could do is I could split up out of both of my paychecks to give 30 out of that check, 30 out of the other check. That would make 60. That's what I was trying to say, or whatever. But yeah, like, it's so crazy on how, like I said, you be faithful with God and he will show you his faithfulness. And I don't know who needed to hear that, but I have been blessed in more ways than once. And had I not took the leap of faith to even come here, had I not been obedient and came here, I would have never left that department. Had I never left that department, I would have never gotten into a department that now I got a soft life. Had I never had a soft life, I would have never got the increases in other areas. Had I not got the increases, I would not have had the better relationship and understanding for tithings that I have now. So everything, God is going to use you in every single season of his life. He's going to, even if it's something that you deem to be the smallest thing. You know what I mean? Because it was times to where I was like, you know, well, you chose to leave here, you can't do this. I was up there even considering working another job. But I told God that I wanted to be here and be around for when my kids have a mom that I didn't have growing up. My mom worked 2 jobs. So why sit up there and go get a part-time job to where I'm only making nickels on a dollar and I'm missing ample times? I'm not available to be at volleyball games. I'm not available to be at after-school activities. Like, he hears you. He knows what you need. You just have to be faithful and have that faith. As small as a mustard seed. But that's what I wanted to share with y'all.
I got these little Barbies.
Who sent them to you?
Mama. This is Leah, and this is Princess Tiana. Leah, put your shoes on.
What'd you get them for?
For my birthday.
When's your birthday?
October 9th.
Period.
Hello. She can fly.
So already I like how my other coffee pot is sitting, my Newark one. Because look how wide this is. It's kind of awkward where this one sits all the way back. There's definitely a lot more room here. So I just set it up here. I think I'm going to put it over here. I initially had it sitting over there, but I will keep it here. And like I said, I had already filled this up with like these K-cups. So we will definitely use them up. I'm going to take this off so I can go ahead and fill it up with water, clean it out or whatever prior to. And we're going to see how it brews and everything. So